Yes. Yes. Good morning. What's happening, Lebang?
What up, G?
Did you all relax this wintry morning?
You know, I have to fake it because it's really cold outside, but I'm just pretending like I'm okay. But I'm not.
Lebang was upset with me when I said to her just now that I don't think it's that cold.
It is that cold.
What do you mean?
Yes, because it is that cold. I'm literally defrosting as I sit here. I feel myself just defrosting.
You know, I was thinking about those people who sleep like under bridges and shit, and I don't think of them often, but can you imagine how miserably cold it is for them now?
Dude, it's not looking good.
And the problem is, if you make a fire, then you smell like fire.
Well, I'd rather smell like fire and be warm than be defrosting.
For sure. All right, so let's get straight into it. We have a lot to do today. Ooh, what's that? I'd like double my voice in my head.
Well,
All right.
It's a Tuesday, double whammy.
Yes, excellent. All right, we got lots of cool things for you this morning. Among other things, Slikour will be joining us. Of course, Slikour is a well-known hip-hop artist in South Africa, pioneer of business as well, and somebody who is really fun to talk to. I've known him for years, so it's going to be good to catch up with him and connect with him again. We also got something from travel.co.za, which, you know, we started a little while ago. I gave you 2 episodes on Zimbabwe, which we did, and had lots and lots of people telling me that they want to go there now. So that's the point,
right?
That. I did that.
You did that.
You know, the irony is, like, I have so many friends who are from Zim, and we've done shows here on Cliff Central that were totally focused on Zim. And I've been there a couple of times before. I went to Harare.
Sure.
And I went when I was at varsity to Lake Kariba, which is pretty amazing. But it was really cool to like look at it as a tourist this time, just tourist stuff.
Sure.
So we'll talk to travel.co.za this morning and find out not about Zim, but about where people can go. Like, what can you still afford with the rand being what it is?
That is a vital question.
Yeah, and what kinds of trips and holidays can people plan? Because you know what? You've got to dream a little bit. If you don't dream, Lebang, you're going to just...
Then you're doing life wrong. You're literally doing life wrong.
And it doesn't always have to be these hugely expensive things either. And I think we've got to find out from the people who know what to look at. So
I think getting the professional's perspective is a lot better than just like asking around and like seeing what people are saying on the timeline. And like the people that know what they're talking about are the people to ask, especially about these things. Because someone will go on a trip to like Bali in the year 2004 and be like, oh, when I went, it only cost this much. It's totally affordable. And you're sitting there like, ma'am, it's 2023.
Yeah. I still know some people.
Not the same price.
I know a few people who say to me, oh, well, Thailand and Bali, you got to go there. And that's really cheap. And I'm like, when did you last do an update on what's cheap and what's expensive?
Exactly.
It's not what you think it is.
Exactly.
What else do we have this morning? We've got loads of good stuff. And Lebang has got plenty to talk about too.
Yes, of course.
You got some itches to scratch this morning?
You know, I feel like, you know, Gareth, you know, sometimes people can just be annoying. Like human beings are just generally like, they make you want to hoosa. It's all about you, Gareth. No, of course not. But like sometimes people just move funny and you're just like, why is this person moving like this? And there's like certain icks and you just want to like get it off your shoulder. And for me, that's what the show is. Like I'm able to come here and just like offload and get like a variety of opinions on my matter and then just go forth with my life.
I think that's also why a lot of people who listen to the show because it's like, oh yeah, I'm annoyed by that too. That irritates me as well. Or I love that. That makes me happy.
Exactly.
Hopefully more of the latter than of the former.
Yeah, let's push more into the love side, but we're human and it's okay to sometimes not feel like it. So I've got this friend who I love dearly, and I think I've known her since like primary school. We've been tight. So she got into like a new relationship recently, which is fine. I'm happy for her. Like, do your thing. But all of a Sunday, our conversations have gone from like inspirational and motivational to like, we want to do this when we grow up, and we're going to start these businesses and we're going to do this. This is how we're going to raise our kids, to suddenly like, oh my gosh, I've got so much money. What am I going to do with all my money? Because now she's dating like a super, super balling guy.
Oh, well, that's a good problem to have.
Sure, but like not when that's like your whole personality now. It's like I'm worried about her because she's literally gone from independent woman, doing her own thing, drives her own car, has her own crib, to now suddenly like all that she wants to talk about is, oh, my man wants to take me to such and such a place. What am I going to do? Oh, my man
She
wants
should be
to...
listening to our travel.co.za feature.
I honestly, she probably doesn't need it, Gareth, like the way her life is set up now. And I don't even know how to tell her, like, hey, dude, I love you, but there's more to life than, like, let's just talk about how much money your man has and, like, all the great things that he buys you. We used to have really, really deep, real life conversations, which are hard to find as well. It's hard to find people that you, like, really get along with on that level. So, hey, this guy of hers, I don't even know what to say to her. Like, now I just sit there in silence, like, yeah, Chomi, good for you. This is great. And it's not coming from a place of jealousy or anything like that. I'm just jealous.
Lie, you are jealous. Come on.
I'm so jealous. Oh my gosh.
Jealous
all I want to talk
down.
about, jealous down. All I want to talk about is money. No, Gareth, it's concerning. Imagine like your spiritual friend who you really connect with. And now all of a sudden, hey, it's just...
Well, it's not her money. So even though she's dating this guy, I always think when someone starts a relationship with somebody, they're always all gung-ho and excited, and they think it's going to be forever, and this one's going to be the one that changes everything.
Sure.
It's going to be so perfect. And they're in that honeymoon phase, obviously, so they don't fight with each other. Look for reasons to keep being really, really excited and optimistic and enthusiastic and all that stuff. I'm not going to take away from that. But I always think when those people come back down to earth, and after about 3 to 7 months of being with somebody, you start getting a little more practical about stuff. And you're like, okay, well, this is how it's going to be now. If you want it to last, of course, most people will want it to last.
Of course.
And you got to start considering practical stuff. So until he transfers half his wealth to her, it's not her money.
It's not.
And, this is like me saying, well, I've got rich friends, which I thankfully I do. But that doesn't make me rich.
Exactly.
And if you're going to talk about money the whole time, it can be, listen, I don't mind talking about business.
Yes.
But to talk about buying things with money is just fantasy, really.
And like the whole time, like in 100% conversation, that's
boring.
all we're going to do. It really bores me. And I think she's starting to see right through me because I literally, like, I can't fake it. You know me, like, I'm quite, it's
you just
obvious.
Shut down now.
You can see how I'm feeling. So I'm just like, okay. Yeah, sure.
But doesn't she feel bad? Because
you'd think she would.
Yeah, again, if I were someone who had money as compared with someone I was talking to who didn't, and I was always talking about it, and I thought, well, this person they're not going to be able to relate to this.
Read the room, bro.
Yeah, you just don't know who you're right. You're just terrible at communication, right? And it's all about me.
Yeah, like this weekend I did this. Next week I'm doing that. And like when she speaks about like the cars, it's like, I'm going to fetch my man's Mercedes Benz, blah blah blah. Like no, normal people don't speak like that. You just say I'm going to go get the car.
And also, like there's levels of rich. Like
right.
I started watching. I mentioned I'll start Succession season 4. And I did last night. I thought I'll squeeze in 2 episodes of it. And I've started watching it again, and it's just amazing. I mean, obviously
amazing.
Oh yeah, it's terrific. No, it's amazing. You got to watch it.
This is interesting. I'm taking notes.
And they show you they give you a glimpse of what it's really like to have proper money.
Like
legit. Proper.
Like the 4% on planet Earth.
Not 4%.
The 0.
I've got bad news for you. You're already in the 4%.
What?
Yeah. Yes. I
Little
know.
old me.
Little old you. I'm talking about the 0.0005% of all the people on Earth who could. To them, it's not about buying things because they could buy anything they wanted to. But here's the question, and maybe you can ask this to your friend, and it's come up before on the show, but it's never a boring one to explore. How do you know when you're rich?
Like when you don't need to look at the price tag.
Okay, but so when you go shopping for food, do you always look at the price tag?
Not really.
See, then to some people, you're already rich.
I mean, sure. But like there's rich and then there's rich. Like we said, there's levels. Yeah, there's like I can buy an island for my wife Beyonce because I feel
okay, but that's not in our realm.
Sure.
Okay, so
definitely
if you can buy the things that you need and not have to scrounge or sell something or beg someone else to help you or whatever, you're probably rich. I mean, like, what's the difference? I've always thought, what's the difference between a 2 million rand house and a 200 million rand house? Sometimes it's just location.
Location.
I mean, you might have the 2 million rand house might even be bigger.
Yeah, defos.
So what are you looking at? What do people really want? Do you want a comfortable place to sleep? Maybe that's all that you care about. What if you have your health and you don't have money?
Hey.
Because someone who has money would rather have health.
100%. I think it
again,
just
you're
boils
rich.
down to
like
you.
if you woke up this morning and you're not feeling like absolute shit, like you can breathe properly, you're not full of aches and pains, you don't have like a terrible rash all over your genitalia, you don't your eyes don't hurt, your whatever, your back's not sore, you're rich.
You're rich in
rich.
health, yeah. But
So,
like when that municipal bill comes at the end of the month,
no.
them aches and pains and them lack of aches and pains are not gonna pay for those bills.
And there's no point in like comparing yourself to anybody.
100%.
And that's where this friend of yours is so stupid, because she's cutting out the things that made you friends.
Exactly.
And this, you say, is a very close friend.
Like for years now. And again, she's like a spiritual friend where like we just connect we vibrate at a higher level. And now it's just so sad to see her be so attracted to earthly things, which at some point never mattered to her. And now it's all she cares about. And I don't know if she's just trying to impress this guy because maybe that's their currency.
So here's another thing. Here's another thing that, when you think about really rich people, and if it bothers you, if you are thinking about rich people a lot, and like we can't, none of us can really help sometimes doing that, but being in shape is something they have to work just as hard at as you do.
Sure.
And remember, if you've got a fridge or 3 or 4 fridges full of stuff, and you go to fancy restaurants every night because money's not an object, it's a lot harder to keep that weight off.
That's true.
Right?
That's true.
And you could argue that cheap takeaway food's just as bad, if not worse for you. But the reality is you still have to...
We're still human.
You have to go to the gym and you have to control your eating. And that, it doesn't matter whether you're a dollar billionaire or like impoverished. Those are still things you have to think about.
Yeah, that's true.
So we got at least the health comparison, the being in shape comparison, the being happy thing.
Yeah, the being happy thing.
I mean, here you are with your thousands of children.
Thanks.
But you're watching them all grow up. They all have their own little personalities.
Yeah.
I see you posting stuff about them. They're growing up in a happy household.
Sure.
They've got lots of love around them.
100%.
And you think about these people who may have like big bank balances, but they fucking hate each other.
And they're miserable.
And they look for drama. And I mean, it's not true for everybody. And obviously money will make anything better.
Sure.
If you're already good,
if it was already fine, then it'll just enhance.
But it's not going to make it better if it was shit to start with.
Exactly. And that is the thing. So we'll see how it goes. I'll just keep monitoring that friendship. I'll give you guys feedback. But I hope she kind of like wakes up because
and friendship, because she may now spend time with people who have money like she does, right?
Well, like money like her man does.
Like her man does.
Sure.
But those are not going to be her real friends.
They don't know her.
I've said this before on the show too. You never make new old friends. And one of these days, she's going to go, the one person I really wish I could talk to is Lebang, but I kind of cast her aside because I started thinking I was a big deal.
And like when she comes back down to earth, should I still be there waiting for her?
No, I think
that's the thing.
If you're a real friend, you will. Because all of this is just nonsense.
I've already got too many kids. I just feel like if I wait in the cut for her to wake up, I'm just like putting more coins into that. That's coins that I could be putting into,
I like this, the coins. You bring up Dr. Hanan's coin theory.
I love Dr. Hanan. He's my guy.
Being very smart here. All right, so Carl DeSantis says, screw being grateful for being able to breathe. I want fuck you, man. I want to be able to tell clients to go and eat a dick. Yeah, but these are all fantasies, dude. And remember, the more people you tell to go and eat a dick, the less likely you are to actually hold on to that money.
Exactly.
Money comes from business. Business is generated by relationships.
Yeah.
So if you're telling people to fuck off the whole time, even if you do have fuck you money, ultimately you're going to reach a point where you can't. It becomes a prison.
Or you'll end up alone.
Well,
and then who are you going to spend that money with?
Everything becomes a prison eventually. Too much of anything, you get trapped by it. You get comfortable. You get so afraid of losing it that you stop taking risks, which means you stop being interesting.
And now you're playing everything like safe by the book. Now you can't say fuck you to anyone anymore.
Yeah.
So it ain't that easy.
Exactly. First thing every Tuesday, it's about Lebang's life troubles, says
Snipes. Yes, absolutely, Snipes. And thank you for tuning into the show. I feel healed now. Having spoken to Gareth for that 10 minutes, I feel so much better.
Yeah. Listen, I also think that there's nothing worse than people complaining, whether they're talking about money or relationships or whatever else. But then just being so focused on their own problems that they actually forget that most people don't care.
Yeah.
And that's the real scary reality.
That is.
People don't give a shit. They're not thinking about you.
Everybody's, you know what the thing is, Gareth? Everybody's going through something. And that's the part that I think we don't think about. It's you in your own world. You focused on me, without realizing that every single person around me is most likely also going through so much shit. But because you're not thinking for them or even thinking outside of yourself, you'll never realize that. And it's not on purpose.
No,
it's not on purpose. It's just the humanness in us. It's like, I need to make sure I'm okay, and that's all. The end. The person next to you is probably going through quadruple what you're going through, but you'll never know, because in that moment it's all about you. And
unless you ask them, they're not even going to tell you in some situation. No, nobody's running around volunteering this information unless they are self-absorbed. And if you ask those questions, sometimes you'll be horrified by the answers, and you'll suddenly think, well, what the hell am I moaning about?
Exactly. Like when you say to someone, how are you? And they say, I'm fine. Just be grateful that they're saying I'm fine.
Yeah.
Because as soon as they tell you the truth about how they really are, you're sitting there for hours listening to tales on tales.
Now, is it true that you've got this thing called a mid-year resolution?
So it's something...
Talk about putting pressure on yourself. Mid-year resolution?
So hear me out. Hear me out, Gareth. It's not a whole new concept. It's going back to my New Year's resolutions and just reviewing. It's the 6-month mark. So it's June now. It's June the 13th.
It's like a status update for yourself.
It's status. It's status. Lebang and Lebang are in a meeting and it's status. So how are we doing, girl? We go back to Jan. What did we put down there? Okay, we did this. How are we at now? Because really the year is running and time is just going. So it's good to just go back and see how far we've come. And for the most part, I haven't done too bad, but I know that I could do better. So now it's like, okay, cool. The stuff that I've done okay in, do I amp those up, or do I, maybe focus on the stuff that I haven't done well in at all? I think it's just good to review.
All right. So where are you at? How are you doing on your testing yourself?
Look, on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm looking at like a 6. I'm not doing great. I had like great dreams of getting back into the gym and blah, 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 blah. Like as soon as I pop that baby, I was like, I'm getting back. Haven't done that at all. Like I'm nothing. And then I said, you know what? This is the year that I'm actually going to get more serious about my career and my broadcasting, my MC, that I have been improving. So I'm proud of myself there. And then I said, this is also the year that I'm going to push my business, which I've been like a little bit. So now I'm reviewing, like, how am I doing? Where can I get better? Well, that kind of thing.
At least you are taking stock. I mean, most people just stop somewhere and like, oh no, I'm done.
It's not somewhere. It's like mid-March. That's like the drop off.
I'm not paying attention because I'm worried about if I do evaluate my performance so far this year, I'm going to be miserable about it. So,
but look, I think honesty with self is definitely step one, because like then okay, cool, this is what I can manage, this is what I can't manage. For the most part, in January, what we do is we just have these long lists of simply unrealistic things, but it feels good to have them written on paper or written in our notes. So we're like, woo! And then like March comes and we're like, fuck it.
Again, but even for goals and like tracking your success or your failure or whatever it is, again, don't compare yourself to other people.
Exactly.
Or else you really are going to have a very unhappy time.
The whole time.
Right?
The whole time.
So I'll tell you what, we all have to just wake up every morning and reset that attitude.
That's it.
Because I'm very prone to optimism and to being positive and enthusiastic and all those things. So I'm lucky.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't have that. They have to work hard at it.
To find it.
But let me tell you something. It's once you've decided you're going to have a good day, you have a good day. No one's going to screw your day up. things might go wrong. It might not always go according to plan.
Mm.
You might be disappointed by,
Things
traffic,
you can't control.
Traffic.
Things that you simply cannot
Yeah.
control, but
Maybe
you're still okay.
Maybe your lunch isn't as great as you thought it would be. Maybe your business meeting that you've been planning for a week or two doesn't go so well. But please.
But that's why I'm saying, like, if you're honest with yourself, you're okay with those situations because they're out of your control. What you can control is this little bubble around you. And if this is okay and it's confident and it's happy and it's fine, everything else around that is like, meh.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. Okay, so we've also got a public holiday at the end of this week, which is very, very exciting. So everybody who's feeling a little bit burnt out or just doesn't want to leave the house because it's freezing, guess what? You get to have Friday off. Yeah. And I'm so glad it's a Friday public holiday because it means
it's a long weekend.
Yeah, long weekend. It's not that irritating like interruption in the week. And then people are like, should I go to work on Friday? Should I not? Do I get the day off? Do I have to put in special leave? And it's Youth Day, which, I don't know, to some people still means something to people who care about this stuff. But for most people, it's just a day off.
That's so sad when you think about what Youth Day actually is supposed to be. And look, I don't know, to be honest, I'm probably not the guy to speak on this, but from my memory, Youth Day was we're putting on old school uniform. We're either going to a party or we're going to get drunk somewhere. And like yesterday, I was talking to my partner about it. Like, do you even know where your uniform is? Like, no, we're not those guys anymore. But I don't know what people are doing for Youth Day anymore, as far as like celebrating what it was meant to be about. And the 1976, the youth of that era being like the fighters and the ones that took us out of they are all like in their 50s and 60s now, those who are still with us. But I just don't know what Youth Day is about anymore, which kind of sucks because it's supposed to be about something real. But already quickly, they made it about something unreal, which was just, well, like you said, it's a public holiday. It's just a day to rest. It's just a day to, recover if you're feeling some type of way. So I don't know. What are you going to do for Youth Day?
I'm not going to be in South Africa for starters.
Well, there you go. You see,
nice.
the most South African white man that I know is choosing to not even be in the country.
No, but I mean, look, let's just, and I don't mean to turn this into a history lecture either, but of course it's Sharpeville Day in the old days. We used to call it Sharpeville Day, and it is a day to commemorate something really awful, which kind of shocked the country to its core and made people think. Of course, police officers in Soweto, well, in Sharpeville at that point, opened fire on a group of young people who were peacefully protesting the pass laws. They killed 69 people on that day. And we remember it on the 21st of March. So hang on, this is the wrong one. Because now I've got here that it's the 13th. I promise you this thing is
June 16.
No, but look at this. Tuesday, 13th of June, 2023. It's giving me a date in Sharpeville.
So it's an uprising.
Yes, Jesus.
You see, even the internet doesn't even know what's going on.
How embarrassing. How embarrassing.
Well, look, you went wrong in that a lot of kids were shot.
Tuesday is the 16th of June, Soweto uprising.
Where the police definitely were shooting, they were shooting at kids who were...
Well, that was the whole Hector Peterson
It was Hector Peterson, yeah. Yes. But that's what it was. It was the memory of something so historic because the kids
look how quickly we just forget all this shit.
That's my point.
And we don't. But I care about history, and I'm like,
and you're like
one
a
of the
history buff, like
was
proper.
It Youth Day. Who knows? Anyway, I mean, there's a good question from propaganda. Like, why isn't there a Marikana Day?
Because the person responsible for Marikana is still in power. The views on the show are not the views of.
Hey, do you know what else is happening? I mean, this time of year, right? So we've got the winter solstice, which is the middle of winter, which means it's the shortest day and the longest night.
When is that?
20th, 21st. Oh. So that's also part of the reason I was confused here, because I was looking at this calendar, and actually Donna says 1 week to go to the middle of winter. Also, the equinox making it the start of the upswing to summer. So there's something to look forward to.
Okay, thank you, Donna, for sharing that. That's something to, nice. Thank you.
That's nice.
It's nice. So did you guys spoke about the earthquake yesterday, the tremor?
So did you feel anything? Because I felt nothing.
Really?
Nothing. Well, I was
got
asleep.
woken up by it. It literally woke me up. I was dead asleep, and I'm a light sleeper generally.
Are you not just, come on, are you hopping on the bandwagon?
God, I wish I would. I swear on my life, I wish I had slept through it, because I didn't want to experience that at all. Like, I woke up and I'm like, okay, what's going on? Maybe I'm dreaming. I'm like, okay, cool. And then I had this like moment of almost like, I don't want to call it trauma, but you know when you feel something familiar, almost like nostalgia. So I don't know if you remember in 2014, there was a tremor as well in Joburg.
Yeah.
During that time, I was still living at my mom's house, and my son was like a newborn. He was still a baby, and the tremor happened. I ran upstairs. I went to take him, and I like put him on my chest because I was so scared. So literally this past Saturday, when that thing happened again, I was like, oh shit, I know what this is. And the first thing I got up, I was like, oh shit, where's my kids? Then I was like, oh, they're in Mpumalanga. Okay, no, I'm safe.
It's amazing what you think, though, in a situation like that. Yesterday,
the first thought was, where are my kids? Like, I was so scared.
So many funny responses from people who listened to the show yesterday. A lot of people saying that they thought their house was being broken into because they heard like doors rattling.
Yes.
So it's amazing how people are constantly in the state of alert.
Yay, 24/7.
What will you do first when you realize like you could be in trouble?
Dude.
You thought of your kids.
Dude, instantly.
A lot of people thought, oh my God, we're being robbed. There's like some crazy shit going on here.
The house is shaking.
Yeah. And I mean, Cunning Stunt says, it's just amazing how many South Africans, their first thought is someone has broken into my house. Exactly.
Is that amazing or is that predictable?
Well, yeah, look, it's not great. I mean, it does really make you think about what you would prioritize. And when you go into fight or flight mode,
exactly,
what are the things you're thinking about?
And your body kind of just kicks into that, right? It's just like an instant, like boom.
Yeah.
And like it's your survival mode that just pops off. And again, in 2014, when we had that tremor, I didn't even think. I just ran, I took my kid and I just did this. So even this past Saturday, that's the first thought I had.
So you know what you must do in an earthquake type situation is you should go under the doors.
The same doors that are rattling.
Under the doors is the best place to be in a city. I mean, it's very rare in South Africa that we get earthquakes that actually, like turn your house upside down.
Unless you live in the East Rand,
Well, even there, there was minimal damage. There are a lot of people with cracks in the walls.
Like, who's going to pay for that?
There wasn't any like 5-story building that collapsed in on itself. Sure, if you see the devastation that happened in Turkey with that earthquake.
But that was like a 7 point something. Ours was like a 4.2. We're just being dramatic as South Africans.
But you should go under the door jam.
I don't know. I think I'd probably try run out the house. My natural instinct would be to run out. Not
into a huge crack that swallows you into the earth.
You know what? I'm going to hell anyway. So this is like a one-way ticket. Yeah, it's pretty hectic. But it kind of also makes you think about like life in general. Like this, for a split second, you're like, oh shit, like if something had gone extremely wrong, that's it. It's over for me. Am I living to my full capacity, Lebang? And
then that makes you think again about like what you've been prioritizing.
Exactly.
All the stupid shit you've been
bullshit.
Thinking about.
Yeah.
I'm feeling a bit cold. Oh, I need to buy a new jersey because my current jersey isn't keeping me warm enough.
We need a gas heater. Yeah. Suck it up.
Yeah, right. Although that gas heater, we bought some gas from the gas company the other day.
Yeah.
We got to connect those. We got to connect those big mushroom heaters outside.
Yeah, we do, yo. And we need them. It is cold, but it's not as cold as it's going to be. Look at me already complaining about meaningless things.
Nico says your lawn chairs didn't even fall over because he's not in Gauteng, so he doesn't know about trauma and pain.
Nico, don't judge us. We're suffering here.
There was a huge earth crack in Kenya discovered in 2018, but it's not a worry now. Well, the African Rift Valley, right? I mean, like they do say that within, it's going to be a few million years, so we won't be here. But that Africa will become 2 continents.
Yes, apparently we're going to separate.
So all the way down from like Lake Victoria, that area, Rwanda, Burundi, Congo, Mozambique, Tanzania, Uganda, going to split off, do their own thing.
Bye.
Yeah, bye.
We're not going to be here.
We don't know. We might be on the one side or the other side.
Yeah. And that's so dramatic.
What will we call ourselves if we don't call ourselves African, right? And which one gets to keep the word Africa?
Which one gets to keep Africa? It's going to be so lit. Oh, that's going to be like real war. We are the original Africans.
Yeah, and you'll have people saying, no, we're the original.
How are you going to prove that? No. If you test our soil, it's been here for more than 2.5 million. Oh, shush.
Yeah, it's going to happen. All right. So, which kid are you going to pick up first, Lebang? Number 10 or number 3?
Oh my gosh. Yo. That's not cool. So I'll probably start with the smallest one. And my youngest is just starting to walk now. I spoke to her gran yesterday. She's already starting to walk, which I hate that because I'm missing out on that. But I'll start with the smallest, and then I'll take the second smallest, and then my partner will take the third smallest, and then the rest can
Just
run.
fend for themselves.
They'll see what they do. They've been here longer than the rest of the kids, so they'll be aight. But I don't know, man. I don't want to think about that, to be honest, as long as everybody's safe.
Hamin says, we had a massive fire close to our house. My instinct was to get all 7 of my dogs out of the house and safe. Then I went back for our IDs.
You see?
But we've often talked about what the thing would be that you would save
if your house burns.
if you knew that, well, like there's an earthquake or something else. And I suppose the sober and sensible thing to say is, from a distance and with objectivity on your mind.
Yeah.
All material possessions, it can all be replaced. I mean, think about how, for example, the things that you really regard highly, your phone, your ID, your driver's license.
Those things?
No, but if people have them stolen off them all the time and they manage to get them reissued.
I don't know. I think if it's like an earthquake and like the world is really like burning, there'll be no network, any signal or whatever. So your phone might even be useless to you.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you'd maybe rather just go for things that, I don't know, this is gonna sound cliche, but you'll go for like the old pictures,
sentimental shit,
the sentimental stuff. Because
like, most of that stuff you've also got on the phone.
Yeah, but like the tangible sentimental stuff, like your freaking your mother's ashes in the urn.
Oh my God.
Bro, you're gonna grab that urn and run with it. So you've got her everywhere you go.
Right.
Like you're not, your phone, it's not gonna work. We've seen enough movies to know that the first thing that they do when the world ends, they switch off all the power, number one, and then they just like close down all the towers. So you're literally just like, oh, you can't connect with anyone.
Someone who's been thinking about what he can take before he gets thrown out completely is Ace Magashule. So here's some news from, what's this from? EWN this morning.
Yeah.
African National Congress Disciplinary Committee has expelled Ace Magashule. The party confirmed in a news statement on Monday afternoon that they found him guilty of misconduct, also failed to make submissions as to why he should not be booted out of the party. In 2021, he unilaterally attempted to suspend party president Cyril Ramaphosa. Subsequently refused to apologize to the president and the structures. Magashule was suspended from the ANC the following year on corruption charges. So he's out. Yeah. And look how quickly he disappears.
Hey.
He's not in the news anymore. I don't know how much power he still wields in the ANC.
Yeah.
This is why Cyril should have taken this kind of action against all the fraught, corrupt ones. And of course, they know things about him as well. So he might be one of the fraught, corrupt ones.
Exactly. We don't know.
Back in the day where he could have used the political capital to clean house, he didn't.
Yeah, he didn't.
So now you get to see that if he had, he would have got away with a lot
Exactly.
more.
Exactly.
So there's Ace Magashule out on his ass. Hopefully, I really hope that Ace ends up under a bridge one day, because that's what he deserves.
Look, let him just stay out and like expose the people that are still up to crap, because he knows who they are. There's many rotten apples that are just like chilling. Let him pull them out, because obviously now he's going to be like upset. Like, okay, y'all are taking me out. I'm going to take all of you guys out.
We don't care. We don't care.
It's my country. I care.
Yeah, but I don't care about Ace Magashule.
Yeah, no, not about Ace. Yeah, it's over for Ace.
Eskom has decided to put out a request for a proposal to supply a certain power plant in Mossel Bay with natural gas. So they're turning 2 power stations that run on diesel. They're converting them so that they can also use natural gas. And we were just talking about gas heaters, and we were talking about the gas company who are a client of ours.
Yeah.
So gas will be a cheaper and more environmentally friendly source of fuel for the 2 stations than diesel is. The intent is to have a gas main feedstock, which will be supplemented by diesel as and when it's required, Eskom said in a tender document this week.
So who's it going to go to? Because it's just something like
that's it.
That's the danger. The danger is, guys, hi, we need 4 billion. Yeah. And they're going to go give it to their cousins and their friends and Usman Bani. And
someone's going to be on the take.
And like, who's that guy? Is it Edwin Sodi or something like that? He's always at the forefront of these funny tenders that never get to the ground.
Connected people. And they're not always the ones that you hear about in the news,
there's the real ones who are quiet. They're living private, balling lives. You'll
Mhm.
never see them dating slay
Mhm.
queens. You'll never see anything. And then
Slay
you
queens.
Thank you. And then you get the Edwins who are like, oh, I just got the tender and I didn't do any work. Look at me now.
Yeah.
Like, I don't mind the fact that they're coming up with new creative ideas for energy, but I just know that it's not going to go to the people that are going to do the work.
Well, I mean, go for gas while the rest of us go for whatever we can get, whether it's solar, whether it's wind, whether it's gas, whether it's water. And, all these people who tell us the whole time it's environmentally sound to go for these alternative energy sources. That's fine. But we do have a country with most coal. Coal is the biggest source of potential energy for us, and we've got to exploit that, even if it isn't necessarily good for the planet. And diesel as well. If we can get diesel, we must use it.
If we get diesel.
If we can get diesel.
Ish.
So anyway, at least Eskom are looking at some other things. I don't know whether we
Yeah.
must take that too seriously or not. Shame, I don't know if you heard about this, but I really had to think twice about who this was. It's been a long time since I've heard his name in the news, but Clive
Don't
Barker.
say Clive Barker. Oh.
Clive Barker, okay. So legendary Bafana Bafana coach Clive Barker's official provincial funeral will take place on Thursday. He died at 78, with thousands mourning the passing of the iconic football figure. On Monday, Sports Minister Zizi Kodwa, South African Football Association President Danny Jordan, how is he still the president of anything after the way he's been behaving? And Barker's Africa Cup of Nations winning captain Neil Tovey paid their respects to his family. The minister announced that he will receive an official provincial send-off to celebrate his life, following the family's wishes and government processes. But again, I hate to sound like an asshole about this, but I really had to think quite hard. I had to rack my brain to remember who Clive Barker was.
That's okay. You don't
Sorry.
feel bad about not knowing who he is. You're not
Yeah.
going to know who everyone is. And then once you figure out who he is, then it's like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
And then it's like, let's let him rest.
I still felt bad because he actually was. I mean, he was a big deal, as Ntokozo says here. He was a legend.
He was a
He was
legend.
old though. It was time. I don't know. Is 78 old? Because I don't think it's that old.
You don't think 78 is that old?
I think these days a lot of 70-something-year-olds are very healthy and have very good lives. I think 80, it starts to get a bit cranky. 90, if you can make it into your 90s in good health, you're doing really well.
He was old, Gareth.
But 70s are not, I don't think your 70s are old.
He was old. But he lived a full life, which is great. I mean, legendary status. He took us to, I think didn't we win not the World Cup?
It was the African Cup
It was
of Nations.
the African Cup of Nations. Yeah, man. He did some things for Bafana Bafana back in the day, and that's what makes him legendary. So may he rest in peace. And
Yeah. I mean,
thank you for your good work, Mr. Clive Barker. I mean, he freaking inspired a whole bunch of people.
Absolutely. And, we have few real heroes in this country. So let's celebrate the ones we got. So, obviously, I think that's great. Rip Clive Barker managed the best Bafana team ever, according to Snipes. So there we go.
Yeah.
Like Kanye said, connected people connect people.
It'd be like that, Carl. It'd be like that.
Carl, bit of wisdom from you there this morning. Clive was a legend. Yeah. A lot of people saying very nice things about Clive in the comments. So very, very good.
And he was just unproblematic, man.
Totally.
He just stayed in his soccer lane. He stayed in his coaching
lane.
Make
a big political noise about anything.
I mean, he knew where his minerals were, and then he just kept it moving. To the point where we didn't even know what he was doing. In the past 10 years, I can't tell you what Clive Barker was doing. He was just living his life, enjoying his kids who are now grown, blah, 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 and then.
Yeah, shame. I mean, obviously, feel bad for his family.
Yeah.
But I thought it was interesting to just note that he has got a special provincial funeral, which they're going to be putting on for him.
That's cool.
It's also good that we do honor the people who've done something that is positive for this country, because we seem to waste a lot of money on other stuff. So this is a good thing.
Sure.
All right. And finally, in the news, JP Morgan Chase have reached an agreement in principle over a class action lawsuit filed by one of Jeffrey Epstein's victims. Parties believe this settlement is in the best interest of all parties, especially the survivors who were victims of Epstein's terrible abuse. The lawsuit was filed in the U.S. District Court, Southern District in New York. Plaintiff is an unnamed person who met Epstein when she was working as a ballet dancer in New York. The lawsuit said she was sexually abused and trafficked by him for several years.
Yes.
And on occasion by some of his friends.
Why
don't we get the list of all the people in the Epstein book?
Name and shame.
Right.
That's what I'm saying.
You know,
Friends. Who are the friends?
I've seen a list that's been on the internet. Everybody's seen that list, but it's an incomplete one. You know, Ghislaine Maxwell has the whole story. She's in prison right now.
Well, we'll see how long that lasts.
Why are we not being given the lowdown on all of this?
Gareth, that's because the people who are guilty and should be on that list have gone to extreme lengths to ensure that their names don't come up on that list.
You're right.
They have gone to the extent of paying people off, killing people, doing everything for them to not be exposed. Because once their names are on that list, and these are extremely powerful people, big business owners, people that own islands, that do crazy, crazy things, that essentially like run the world in some other industry. The minute that their names are on that list, it's over for them.
Well,
it's over.
Doesn't mean that they shouldn't publish that list.
That's for sure. That's for sure.
For the rest of us, we want to know what's
I want to know, bro.
I want to know who's there. I want to know what they did. And I want to see some people like having
go to jail.
Yeah.
Pay for your disgustingness.
So according to this story anyway, JP Morgan have knowingly and intentionally participated in Epstein's sex trafficking venture from roughly 2000 to 2013, providing its essential financial underpinnings and ignoring red flags. So JP Morgan have got a lot to answer for there. They have settled with this woman out of court.
Yeah.
So we will have to see what happens.
Hey.
Again, we're not going to get the whole story because they've settled, right?
Yeah. It's none of our business.
Yeah.
It's literally none of our business. Oh, Lucky has an interesting comment. He says, an 81-year-old ran the Comrades Marathon and finished. So 78 is very young.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Okay, I'll take
81-year-old ran the Comrades. I can't run the Comrades. Could you run the Comrades?
The fuck not. I'd have to be interested in running the Comrades first. And shout out to the Comrades. I've got some friends that also did it. Really, really happy for you guys. I think it's fantastic if that's your thing.
Yeah.
And shout out to that 81-year-old as well. That's really good.
Right.
Like if that's what you like, then kudos.
Absolutely.
For some of us.
All right, it is time to turn our attention to something which everybody loves to talk about. We all love to talk about and dream about travel. And there's nothing like going into these places, even if it's just in your imagination.
Yeah.
Figuring out what you can't do, what sort of budget you need, what is possible. And we've got to speak to the experts, which is exactly why we've got Maria Watkins on this morning, General Manager at Tourvest Travel Services, overseeing their leisure, product, and rewards divisions. She's been with TTS for 27 years, and one of her favorite things to do is to travel with her husband and her children and experience new places and cultures while meeting people from all over the world. She's the perfect person to talk to this morning in our window seat feature. That's right. This is the window seat with travel.co.za. Hey, Maria, how are you?
Morning. A tad cold, but all good.
It's nice to see you. We were talking, Lebang and I, earlier about how even if you aren't planning a holiday or you don't have any possibility of a holiday on the horizon, it's still nice to dream. And a lot of people, the beginning of the year, somewhere in the middle of the year, they start thinking, what is it that I could do for a holiday? Where could I go? Where could I travel to locally, internationally? That's kind of why we needed to check in with you this morning.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you.
Gareth, I talk about it every day. I dream it every day.
Well, but that's exactly why we want to talk to you. So the cost of living is going up, and the daily challenges that we face as South Africans make people a little bit miserable some of the time. How do you make booking a travel package your number one priority, and how do you manage this with a limited budget?
Okay, so I think, Gareth, if you just think of travel is a little bit like beginning a family. You always think you just simply don't have enough money to do it. But once you've done it, you jump in and you survive. So don't think of it as a costly affair, because you can do it on minimal costs. And I think if I can share, one of my favorite things to do when we travel as a family is cruising. A lot of people are a little bit hesitant when they hear cruising. They think it's some rickety ship out in the ocean. You're just going to feel seasick. You're just going to lie in your cabin all day. It's not like that. I think if you choose your waters carefully, you can actually have an absolutely magnificent holiday. And you don't feel the ocean at all, believe it or not. And why I say cruising, Gareth, is it really is an all-inclusive holiday. South Africans trying to book a holiday from South Africa to go overseas on a budget, and you simply just buy your tickets and book your accommodation and hope and pray for the best when you're there, you're going to get caught. It's expensive out there. Regardless of where you travel today, it is expensive out there.
Well,
but
just,
if you
just ask Lebang, because she's made a terrible mistake or two when she's booked like B&Bs and then they've been like horrible. And so sometimes it's safer to go with what you know and what the recommendations from people like you who are the professionals can give us. Cruising is amazing. I mean, let's just stick to that for a second before we get on to anything else. You are essentially unpacking your bag once. You get to be on the sea, which is a very exciting and different experience to being on land.
Yeah,
there are things to do on these ships, and then you get to interesting destinations too. So it's like got everything. You got food, you got cool people, you got company, you got parties, you got all the stuff that you want. Or if you want to take it easy and chill, it's for young, it's for old, it's for everybody.
Absolutely. I think when you dreaming up a holiday about cruising, think of it as an all-inclusive. It's exactly what you said, Gareth. You get onto the ship, you unpack once. I think a lot of people imagine ship cabins to be absolutely tiny. They're not realistically like that. What I would recommend is stay away from the inside cabins. Those are tiny, those are claustrophobic, and more so because there's just not a view of the outside ocean. You don't have to have the highest category, you don't have to have the fanciest balcony, but at least have a porthole where you can see outside of your room. And really, you spend minimal time there. The ships these days are massive. They're massive. All port taxes are included in your cruises. All your meals are included. You can pre-purchase your drinks packages and go wild. Drink all day long if that's what you wish to do.
Well, South Africans do like to do that.
Yeah, we already do that anyway. Like, Maria, this sounds great and everything, but like as I'm listening to you, I'm just thinking, what am I going to do with all my kids? If I bring all of them on a cruise ship, now I need to be looking after them. They're going to be running around. They're going to be wanting to do all this mess. Like, am I going to be able to get like a holiday out of this, or am I just going there to be a parent on extra time?
Let me start off by saying, firstly, I come with a lot of children in my family. And one of the best holidays we do as a family is cruising. There's kids clubs. There's babysitters. If you're traveling with tiny little babies, there's people that will take care of them. You sign them in, you sign them out. The entertainment programs are insane. You've got
there's lots of stuff for the kids to do on these things too. I mean, they've got like water rides and swimming pools,
bumper cars,
and these ships are enormous, especially the ones. Yeah.
Titanic has ruined us. Like after watching Titanic, I'm just like, I'm not trying to be on any ship.
Titanic is
There's bowling alleys. There is discos for the teens. There's discos for the adults. The entertainment on board is insane. If you think about what you'd pay to go and watch a Broadway show, for instance, it will cost you close to what half a cruise would cost you. And every night there's entertainment. And it's not just one show. There's about 3 or 4 lounges that they run shows in.
So don't waste this opportunity. We're sitting here talking to you now, and you've got to give us some tips on how you can save money and how you can be smarter when it comes to booking plane tickets, when it comes to booking holidays, accommodation, food, all that stuff. Give us some of the tips that you've learned over the time that you've been in travel, because you know way more than we do.
Okay, so plan ahead. Yeah, plan ahead. Right now, post-COVID, airfares are insane. But there's still many deals that come out. There are airlines running really special deals. And if you just plan ahead, you can still secure really good airfares into Europe, into the States, into the US, wherever you want to go. If you plan ahead, you can actually get those really great deals. For me, there's nothing more beautiful than paying for a holiday in February and getting there in December and going, oh, this feels like I've paid nothing, because you've forgotten about what you paid for. so early in advance to making your travel booking. The best way to plan and save for a holiday is just put a little bit away every single month. When you just go and look at the cost of traveling overseas, it can be overwhelming.
Yeah.
But we have some absolutely excellent cruises leaving our African shores here. They take you.
Well, what about where people could go where it doesn't have to cost an arm and a leg? Because a lot of people have told me over and over again, Thailand is great, Bali's great. These are places you can go to where it doesn't have to break the budget and you can get quite a lot of value for money. Is that still the case?
Correct. So, yes. So the East is definitely still one of those very affordable holidays. We used to say Turkey was quite affordable, but the inflation there seems to have killed the joy for many, unfortunately. And I think for South Africans as well, look for places that are visa-free. We think we can't go far, but there are many places we actually can go without visas. Visas add to the costs of it. Things you really should not go without are things like travel insurance. As hefty as that price might seem, I've seen it save many travelers at any given time. And really plan to try and include as much as you can here. Pay for it here in South African rands, so that when you're there, you can actually relax and just enjoy.
That's where you get those really cool sort of package things where you know everything's included. You know what you're in for: meals, accommodation. Yeah. If you're going to places like for skiing, then your ski hire, all that stuff is included. And then even though it burns you always to pay for anything, I mean, let's be fair about this. If you go out for supper, it's going to cost you some money. But as you say, you've paid in advance and you've paid in rands, so you know what you're in for. There are no ugly surprises at the end of it.
There's some fantastic island holidays, fully inclusive. So you don't have to worry about paying 90 Rand for a 500 milliliters of water. It's all included and you can just sit back and relax with your family. So I highly recommend that. Book and pay for as much as you can before you depart South Africa.
And for people who haven't traveled for a long time and are thinking about it again, it's changed a lot too. There used to be a time where people used to have them. Do you remember traveler's checks, Maria?
Yes. That's giving away my age, but yes.
but yeah, I mean, so these days, a lot of people think that, the Forex element of this is complicated. You can use your bank card in most countries. And of course, if you're paying in that currency, there's going to be a difference and there'll be some charges. But most people don't even think about the fact that now it's so much easier than it's ever been. You don't have to carry around an envelope with Forex in it like you might have done once before. So a lot has changed.
And the better way to do it so that you don't get caught by bank charges is getting a cash passport, which a lot of these Forex institutions can give to you. They load it with your foreign exchange, and everywhere you go, you can either tap it or draw at the local ATMs. Yep. And it's really, you've paid your exchange and it's done.
All right. So I know you've probably been to a lot of really interesting places, but tell us about embarrassing or crazy things that have happened to you in your recent trips, because I'm sure there have been a few of those.
Well, the very recent trip where we went cruising in Europe, just hubby and I. And nice. I think something that we underestimate is the airports and the security checks. And for some reason, I don't think I have a face that really stands out, but they love to pat me down at those security checks.
Yeah, but you do look very suspicious. I'm sorry, Maria. Tell immediately you're in danger.
And I am really quite a compliant individual. I like to follow the rules. So I very confidently arrive in Germany, need to get through the security check to continue our trip onto Italy. And I take out all my liquids. I've got them pre-packed. I'm very diligent. Put them outside of my bag, put my bags through the security. And that was, I had a backpack and a handbag. So off we go. I get my pack down. My husband stands on the side, has a good giggle, because I know every single time I'm going to get the pack down. And I come across to the other side, and Gareth, you'll know, you've recently traveled. If there's something they need to check in your bag, it sort of goes off the main conveyor, onto the security side. And there goes my handbag. So my husband says, oh boy, there goes your handbag. I said, what on earth is in my handbag? I said, oh, it's my hand sanitizer. Forgot to pop it in with the rest of the liquids. Very confidently walk up to the security and I say to her, oh, so sorry, I forgot to take my hand sanitizer out. And a very German, staunch woman says to me, no, ma'am, we've detected explosives in your handbag.
Oh, shit.
Explosive.
What did you have?
My heart sank because you start to really think, shit, what did I put in my bag? And where did I leave my bag was really my thought. But,
And how long have you been a member of Al-Qaeda? I mean, what's going on here?
That's the real question.
It's the curly hair. So she says to me, we have to call the police. And really, as experienced as I am in traveling, in that moment, I actually don't know what to do.
Sure.
And she sort of says to your husband, stand back. We're calling the police. And along come these very staunch German. The one was so tall, you literally had to look up. And they approach your handbag. And, she doesn't touch anything until they say to her, start to unpack the bag.
Yeah.
And I travel very neatly. So I've got a pouch for my earphones and my chargers. I've got a pouch for my meds. I've got a pouch for my moisture. I've got everything in little pouches. So here she's opening, and I can just hear my husband going, oh my gosh, these pouches. And she just unpacks the whole handbag. They say nothing. And then they just nod at her. And then she said to me, you can relax now. I said, what on earth is in my bag? What? She says, we suspected this power bank to be something unusual. And it's a very different shaped power bank. And you cannot actually check into your luggage. You have to carry it on.
I just got nervous, even though this has already happened and been resolved. I was like, what the hell could it be? Sure. Because we all wonder, you never know. And you go through security check, and then suddenly they find something, and you think, "Oh my god,
crap.
Someone's put something in my luggage."
Exactly.
Correct, and they bring out these long sticks like they're checking for drugs, and you start to worry that you've got some Valoid in your handbag, and that they might think it's something else. So funny, not funny, because in the moment you actually don't know how to react. You don't know what to do. You're in a foreign country.
Well, I mean, we've been talking to you for a few minutes, but it feels like far too short a time, and we're already out of time. I suggest that the best thing people can do is go along to travel.co.za and see for themselves what you could do to make your dream holiday a reality. And we've got some useful tips here from Maria. So thank you, Maria.
Yeah, tip number 1: chuck the power bank.
Yeah, put that in your big bag that you check.
You can't. You're not allowed to. It's one of those prohibited items.
No, you're right.
You're not allowed to. So I was following the rules. I put it into my handbag.
All right. Well, listen. Try not to get arrested, and we'll hopefully talk to you again soon, so you can give us some more tips like this. But I love it. Thank you, Maria. Nice to see
Maria.
you.
Thanks for the opportunity. Stay warm.
Awesome stuff. Travel.co.za is where you can find out more, and you can go and book your dream holiday and make it a reality. It's that easy. And, for anybody who really needs a break, this may be exactly the message you needed from the universe.
Cruise ship sounds like a vibe.
I think so. Especially if you've got kids, because they're all in one place. They are people who look after them, so you can have a bit of a holiday. Look at you. You don't believe me.
Titanic.
I promise you it's true. No. How many years must pass before it's too old for you to keep talking about something that happened in like 1912?
Never. Titanic is a classic. It'll always come up when we speak about cruise ships. No, but on the rail, I'm definitely looking into it for like next year. If I start planning now, then I'll be able to afford it.
All right. Well, we'll be back with some more, including the great Slikour in just a short while. It's just after 7 o'clock, cliffcentral.com on a Tuesday morning. Good morning, everybody.
This week on the Auto Trader podcast, within the finance structure, you can also opt for a balloon payment.
Yeah.
Okay. So what's a balloon payment? It's an uneven payment schedule with one bigger payment at the end.
Are you for or against? Depends.
That depends. I mean, like if you're an emotional buyer and you're going to buy something you can't afford, don't go near a balloon payment, because at the end, it's gonna bite you.
Yeah,
it's gonna bite you.
Pros and cons. Can you just give me a little bit of pros and cons with regards to balloon? Because this is where this whole conversation began. Was why would anybody even accept a balloon payment?
Catch us every Monday at 9 a.m. on YouTube and on autotrader.co.za.
Just because it's about technology, connecting your business to the rest of the world doesn't mean you need to send rockets to space and use complicated solutions. Want to simplicate things? Well, join Jaco Voigt, who is the CEO of Catalytic, on the Unbundled podcast. With skin in the game and a keen focus on educating and assisting you and your business, Jaco decodes all the aspects of connectivity, security, and cloud solutions. Unbundled is brought to you by Catalytic and is available on cliffcentral.com, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Right, we are live. It is Tuesday morning. We're alive. Just before you start this thing, Tuesday morning on cliffcentral.com. I've heard so many funny travel stories about people having like vibrators pulled out of their luggage and crazy shit like that. So I don't know how long you're going away for that you need that kind of thing, but clearly for some people that's a priority. We want to hear from you in the comment section. You could always get hold of us over there and drop us your comment. You can also tell us what's going on and what you might be doing for the long weekend. Yes, a long weekend coming up. Isn't that exciting? Slikour is going to be joining us in a short while. We'll also be catching up with him, finding out what he's been up to, because he's just written a book. And I always am impressed when someone can get a book together, because I know how much work that is. It's not easy going. And you have to sit there and plan and prepare and write and edit and rewrite. And then there's someone who corrects everything. And it's a big project. And of course, when you commit something to writing, it's there forever. You know, if I do a radio show, it's like, it's not there forever. Who's going to remember exactly what we said, 20 days from now?
Well,
even 3 days from now.
The beauty about podcasting is that somebody can just go back to the show.
Don't tell them that. Don't like it at all.
Well, but I think it's cool that, if you have that like writer spark inside of you and you really want to tell your story.
No, it's amazing.
I think
you can do it now, and you can self-publish now. You don't need some big publishing company to come to you and say to you, oh, we want to write a book about you.
We see some talent. There was a time where like this particular thing was just reserved for like a few people. Not everybody could like tell their stories confidently and know that it will get out there. Now it's almost as though it's what we say here at Cliff Central. Everyone is a broadcaster, right? Now it's like everybody's story.
Everybody's an author.
So I like it. I support it. I think it's dope.
And even if some people say, oh, well, it's become a situation where everybody is now an author, so none of it's good. That's nonsense. There's just more for you to choose from.
Exactly. Find what you resonate with, find what you like or what you're interested in, and then just focus on that instead of like bashing people who are, doing that thing. Do you know how difficult it is to put your life out there?
Yeah.
Like
honestly,
it's not easy. Like
to do it honestly.
Exactly.
You can always tell some dreary middle of the road story that doesn't have a whole lot of edge to it. But who's going to read that?
Exactly.
Again, the greatest works in all of human history have been about the people who are at the edge, not the people who
Yeah.
are in the middle.
Exactly.
gotta tell the truth.
Bars.
Got to tell the truth. All right.
Yeah.
So a couple of things here. Cindy says, I'm about to go through security at Dublin Airport.
Okay.
I'm rethinking the power bank in my hand luggage. Hopefully I don't get pulled out for carrying one. I mean, it's part of daily life nowadays.
Good luck, Cindy.
I have probably about 4 power banks lying around.
Serious?
Yeah, because every time I think I've lost one, and that's often,
Yeah.
then I find it a couple of months later, but by then I've already bought a new one.
But then that's good because then you've just got a bunch of power banks. One
but
for
then-
the car, one
yes,
for the
but then-
bathroom, one for the bedroom, one for the...
But you see, I'm so OCD that they all need to be 100% charged all the time.
Really?
It's a problem, Lebang.
Yeah,
I know you're
it's
looking at me like I'm mentally ill.
it's
but
not
I
sounding
promise you
good
this
for
is
you.
something. No, so there are 2 ones that are those big, those things like a brick.
Yeah. The
that
fat ones.
You could basically power your phone up 17 times
Sure.
before it runs out of power, right?
Sure,
Those
yeah.
ones. So I've got 2 quite big ones like that, which
Yeah.
I keep fairly close to 100% charged.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're like those little crappy ones that,
Yeah.
they'll give you 10% more on your battery if you're in
Yeah.
a really, really ugly, tight situation where you've run out of power.
Yeah.
Those ones I don't worry
At least
about.
you've got a variety. Like, I completely gave up on power banks like years ago.
But you have
because
to have them. What do you mean?
I
you
don't
you
have
don't
a single.
have any?
Nope. When my battery dies, it dies. And
That's
that's
some
because
bullshit.
people started stealing my power bank. So I stopped buying them. Every time I'd buy a new power bank, somebody would steal it. So I thought, you know what? RIP power banks, it's not for me. And I just stopped buying them. So now it's people like you in my life. You guys have 4. I can
So you
just
just-
borrow one.
You basically just parasite off of the rest of us.
100%.
That's your thing.
That's my
That's what you
vibe.
do now. Very embarrassing.
That's fine.
Well, I'm very happy to welcome to the studio this morning Sia Slikour Mitane, who is, of course, a founding member of the celebrated hip-hop group Squatter Camp, CEO of Slikour on Life, which is a platform that is dedicated to bringing down barriers, granting access to spaces, and facilitating cohesive conversations with businesses so that they can help the stories of musicians and culture and make them more seen, more heard. He is with us in the studio today. It is so good to see you, dude. How the hell are you? Look at you. Look at you.
I'm cold. I'm cold and gray.
It is cold, right?
I'm cold and gray. It's a
Yeah.
real thing. It's
No,
a
I
real
know.
thing.
It's not exactly pleasant, but it's nice to see you. I haven't actually been in a room with you for a while.
It's been a minute. It's a minute.
Yeah.
Good seeing you too. You know.
But we've known each other a very long time. So there's a lot to catch up on. I believe you've written a book.
Yeah. Well, pretty much I've been talking and someone has been writing. You know. So
How does that work? Tell us about the process here, because we were talking about how hard it is to write a book.
Mm.
And Lebang was saying it's difficult to put your life out there.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
not
You know,
easy.
it's difficult also to deal with people who are going to edit your words.
yeah,
And
yeah.
it's going to be there forever.
Yeah.
That's the difference between a book and anything else.
Yeah, I think I wasn't going to write a book, to be quite frank. I was almost like I'm dead, if anything, I was dead by Helen Herimbe, because we had an event and they were talking about something related to South African hip hop and they never mentioned Squatter Camp. So I was in the room and Helen came up to me and she said, don't you think that like you're being erased from history, And I was like,
Shit, that's a terrible thing for someone to say.
yeah, I mean, well, because of our relationship, she can say anything to me clearly, and I was
Oh,
like,
shit.
Helen, you can't make history remember you. If they don't remember you, they don't remember you. It is what it is, And she's like, no, you got to write something. You got to write a book. And I was like, Helen, geez, imagine now me writing a book. I'm not so consumed in myself, like that.
Okay, but I mean, I don't want to talk about me here, but the fact is, like, I've had to write 2 books, and the one that they wanted me to write was like autobiographical, basically.
Yeah.
And I hated it. I hated the process. I hated the idea of it because I kept thinking, who's going to read this?
Yeah.
For every, and there are, like Lebang and I were saying earlier, there's so many books now. Everybody's got a book available. And I keep thinking to myself, well, who's going to read mine?
Yeah.
And did you feel the same?
I never really felt that way. In fact, I never kind of worry about what's going to happen in the end because I wouldn't do anything half the things I do, to be honest with you, half the things I do, it's always like, I think this is going to happen in the world. Let me just do it, But more than anything, I felt the underlying thing was, well, who is telling this story about this hip hop thing, and really the story is about energy. What I really wanted to, I always say, I got friends who I sit and they go, why don't you always post half the stuff you say? I'm like, I'm not like the message you receive gets to those who need to receive it. You get to a point in your life where you know that impact is not about like multiples. Impact is about the few that get it, and that are able to action it, right? So even when I wrote the book, I wasn't literally looking to be a top seller. I wasn't going to be out there doing mad road shows trying to convince
you didn't have
to buy the book.
any heightened expectations at all. It was just something that you wanted to do. You didn't care what happened.
I don't have heightened expectations for nothing, to be quite frank. Everything in my life is stuff that I just want to do. And
it's quite sensible, huh?
Yeah. I mean, and I'm fortunate that some of it becomes successful. I'm able to make money. That's why I wasn't going to survive in the world of music or in the world of anything that once again starts becoming competitive and starts having egos and everything else. Because even when I was a rapper and I was just battling and I was being competitive, it was just my innate self just doing it. But when it started becoming like, this is what it means when you get here, when people start putting merit to things, whether it's status or merit, it starts becoming like, is that what we're working for right now? So I just do things,
I love that attitude, because I think it would be such a roadblock for most people. They'd be so worried about success or failure. How many people are going to read this? How many am I going to sell? And it would stop them from sometimes telling some really good stories. And you've got a ton of stories. I mean, you mentioned lots of people in the book, so I'm not going to have you spoil everything. But we've got stories about Zola, about Bonang, Questa, and all the brands that you've worked with, some of which are big, well-known international brands. And I'm sure some of these stories are maybe not like pure PR for them either.
No.
So, all right, let's go through your story, because really one of the things I wanted to do here this morning was also just kind of have a bit of a profile interview of you, because we've known each other a long time. I've obviously been interested in what you've been doing with Slikour and Life in particular, because that's kind of the next evolution, and that's where we met for the first time years ago. But you're from the East Rand, right?
Yeah, I'm from the East Rand.
I mean, nobody's perfect, but
yeah. You know what I mean?
East Rand always catching strays.
I'm not, but like, it's so not perfect that I'm now from Ikuruleni. Okay. I literally I moved to a new place, but I stayed at the same place. I'm from East. I went from East Rand to Ikuruleni.
So, all right, tell us about how you grew up.
I think it's funny. The book is very close to me thinking about knowing who I am. Actually,
that's a big claim.
Yeah,
let's not breeze past that.
Ooh, slow down.
That's a big no. The book is very close to me knowing who I am.
That's heavy.
Holy shit!
It is.
I didn't feel like that after my books.
It's because I don't know who was right. At least Helen is a friend, and in fact, I would like the book. She became like a sister, right? Because
but hang on, you sat down with her and you told her stories. She wrote this.
She wrote.
Yeah, we when she said I said I don't have time. I said I'll give you 3 hours every week, into like 3 years ago, and she religiously came to the office for 3 hours. We sat down. I spoke, she wrote, she'll give me feedback, and we'd miss a few weeks. But without her, there is no book. I wouldn't call her and say, are you coming? She'd literally always show up, So it's really her book, She said, I'm not going to write a book again after that. But
put her off writing.
Yeah, but she really guided me. So I think that what the book did, when you talk about where I'm from a place where it's exactly that, we don't get seen, people don't, we're not in people's subconscious like a guy from Soweto or whatever the case be.
Sure.
So what that trains you is to actually work without being seen. You know what I mean? It literally prepares you to actually not be celebrated, but keep working, because now you got to weigh: am I going to wait, or am I going to work? So I've always chosen the idea of working.
Oh, bars.
Was her idea to document hip hop history in South Africa?
Nah, the book is not even about hip hop history. The thing is that the book is about energy. The title is something that the publisher was like, nah, this is how we should call it. But the book is really about energy, but with the backdrop of my life. So it's almost all these things that I literally plant, which multiply, or which grow, or things I foresee that grow, or people I pull into spaces and they literally like become something, or I get pulled into spaces where people think I'm not going to do anything, and I multiply things, and I change people's perception for things. So it's really a story about by giving constantly, and this is who I am. By constantly giving, you actually allow yourself to pivot, because I could call Gareth and go, Gareth, I think there's an opportunity here and here. If I cared about Gareth enough to put him in a space that like I don't know about, I don't think I'd care about Gareth. But if I put Gareth in a space where I'm like, hey, there's this, and then they go, Gareth did this, I start learning about new spaces because of all the people I kind of move with.
Yeah, because I mean, you've been involved in like brand building and advertising and creating, ID and all that kind of thing.
I'd had to learn what it all means. I've had to learn the where the money is, the legalities of it, and dealing with. And the one thing you can never learn is people. Dealing with people will show you flames, right? But I've had to learn who I am with dealing with people also. The consistent learning of that.
Is there stuff that you left out of the book because you felt like it wasn't anybody's business, or it would have made some people feel bad, or it could have painted some people in a bad light, or even made you feel like you weren't at your best at certain times? And I mean, a lot of people, their ego kind of takes over in these situations. Or did you just tell the stories? Helen wrote it down, and when you saw some of it, you were like, well, I don't know if I want to include that, but it was something you had to do.
The book is a lot of vulnerability, right? It's not even the stories. I could have pulled stories. I mean, they talk. There's the Bonang story, the Quest story, but like it's not like it's nothing.
See, I feel bad though sometimes if I'm telling a story that involves someone else and I don't have their permission. Share it publicly, especially if it was something between you and like a girlfriend or something like that. Sometimes I feel like it's a little bit like you're using them in some way.
Well, I felt that there was a sense of let me maybe give context to what you already know more than anything.
Okay.
And I felt like I even spoke to Bonang, a few weeks before the book came out, She
didn't slam down the phone on you and
nah, I don't think there's I haven't spoken to her in years. We haven't spoken in years, but like there's no.
Oh, great! Now you're writing a book about me.
Yeah,
fuck yourself.
She's a few pages in the book. You know what I mean? But like it's like another person. Was Dr. Sipos too? Also, with Gallo. I had my fights with them.
Yeah.
And the irony is that Dr. Sipos called me a week before the book came out, and he was like, he calls me Siabong, like my full name. Because, hey, Siabong, I've just been wondering, when you wrote your shout-outs there in the Gallo cover, what did we do to you? Why did you? Because I cursed them out on my on the sleeve, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, Dr. Sipos, I was a kid, it is what it is. But like, I wrote about him on the book, and I wrote about what happened and what made me write whatever I wrote there. But I did make him know there were some things that, like, when we were going through it, the last editorial part of it, we're like, do you really want to say that? Because you're assuming that. And I was like, okay, I don't want to say it, but I also don't want to not say what really happened, because I also want to show my ignorance also to certain things, right? because that's the vulnerability we're trying to show, is that, you know, you might have made a success of a few things, but like you also made a mess of a lot of things.
Sure.
So the book really talks about my messes more than which literally helped me pivot and make me grow at the same
it's
time.
hard
you
to
know?
talk about your own messes.
Yeah. But it's also important because you need to look back on the person that you were versus the growth that you know, have experienced to be the person who you are today.
What? Let me tell you like this. Look at Vladimir, look at Hitler, like humans are a mess. And then if I compare my mess, I go, I'm okay. I can live with my mess. You know what I mean? Look at our political landscape. You know, human beings are a mess.
Yeah.
You gotta literally make peace that you're also part of the mess. But like, and your mess literally could help other. If you start realizing you're a mess and you start like putting it out there that I was a mess here, you only see what's pleasant and what probably I'm comfortable to show. But here's the mess. But this is the mess that literally also builds the blessing, right?
100%.
So let's just go all the way back to Squatter Camp, because when you guys broke up as a band, it was, for many people, it was really bad news, and people were very unhappy about that. And there was blame passed around, remember?
Yeah.
This feels like ancient history, but this is a big deal.
Yeah.
So have you addressed all of that in the book too? And who do we blame? Most importantly.
Well, look, I don't think Squatter Camp ever broke up, but I do think but like there are stories. There's in the book literally like the reason why I said fuck it, you know what I mean? Really does come across, you know, and I still don't know. Like, you know, look, we're good with the guys, and and we never actually officially broke up. It's just that we all went our separate ways, but we're still friends. But you know, there's always people that speak in people's ears when we're in different spaces, and that kind of impacts us when we come together also. So there are lessons there in a group also, but yeah, you know, I mean, who do we blame? I think all of us are to blame. All of us are to blame.
The person who says that is usually the one to blame.
Hey man, I think like read the book, because clearly the answers are in the book is what it sounds like.
No, but really all of us are to blame. I'm not even withholding anything.
But you guys were so young and you were just doing something that nobody had done before, like in that capacity. It was just exciting and it was groundbreaking. I can imagine that level of excitement and that level of ego as well, that we are the stirrings in this thing.
Yeah.
Nobody can touch us. Of course, things like that will happen.
And success, of course, like, you know, it breeds a lot of strange feelings. There's a lot of, if you guys were unsuccessful, you'd probably have to cling to each other a lot more. But because you had success, it was like, okay, well, you start thinking bigger.
Yeah, and I think
going solo for you was a big step.
Yeah, for me, going solo was disgruntled. It wasn't even like, it's nothing that I wanted to do. It was part of my, well, fuck this, you know. So my solo career was a disgruntled career. That's why I never continued it, because when I thought about it 3 albums deep, I was like,
actually,
am I that mad that I'm writing 3 verses on my own and I'm doing the chorus? And am I that mad? No, they're getting the best out of me. They literally, you know, sounds like, nah. So, you know, I mean, it was really that. But also when you think about it, when you are, as you're saying, young, we all have, and this plays a very important role. Just because we're from the hood, we also come from different households.
Yeah.
And different households literally also allow you to see the world in a different context.
Sure.
So when you have the same success, everyone receives it differently. You know, even in relationships, you know, I was telling a friend of mine last night, and I was saying, me and you could want the same thing, but how we receive information could be different.
Sure. So
how we get to that same thing is going to be different, right? So that could cause conflict, because you might say, hey, you know, Gareth has got an Adidas, what is it, a sweater, you know, and someone else would go, hey, Gareth is rich.
Oh, we were talking about this.
We were talking about earlier, yeah.
You know, but we both want that Adidas sweater, right?
Sure.
But I goes, yo, that's nice. Someone will compliment you. Someone will go, you know, rich guys
Yeah,
got, you understand?
right.
But we want the, and that immediately when we come out the room, and now I'm sitting and it's me and you and we talking about it, and I go, no, but the sweater's nice, and you go, but you think you better, why are you always on Gareth's side?
Exactly.
And you have multiple conversations like that,
and it's different personalities.
You know what I mean? So you have multiple conversations, and it's small things. Multiple conversations like that literally lead to you going, oh, we actually don't receive these things the same. We want this. So we always think that like we got to be with people who want the same things.
Yeah.
But actually we got to be with people who receive things the same way we receive them, because we can constructively grow to go get those things.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So that's the mistake that like it's a big mistake in life. Always be with someone who wants the same thing as you. No, don't. Be with someone who actually receives it the same as you, because if you receive it the same, you don't have to have things in common, but if you receive certain things the same, then you guys will always find ways.
But when
to build
so when you say that, what do you mean? Is it like a gratefulness? Because
it's not a grateful.
I'm not understanding this properly. To me, like gratitude is a massively important part of being happy. Like if you're not grateful about the things that you are getting, whether it's small things or big things, feelings, material success, whatever it is, if you're not grateful about those things, then I don't understand how like you say receiving is different to
the way I'm understanding is it is how you perceive things. So the way you perceive things is essentially you are then in charge of what that thing does mean or doesn't mean to you. So we're both looking at the same jersey, but if I'm like the way I was raised and my background is like, oh, I'm looking at that thing, but I'm jealous of the fact that you have that thing. And see us from a background where it's like, man, that's something that I should probably work towards. And I'm influenced and inspired by it.
Oh, I see.
That's kind of what I'm understanding.
It's the attitude. Okay.
Yeah, and gratitude also, there's a scale of gratitude, I could literally be like, yo, I'm alive, I'm breathing, I'm grateful. You could be like, you don't give a damn about that, you just want your Porsche.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So there's a scale of gratitude also.
There seems to be a theme on the show today, right?
Yeah, something's in the air.
Lebang and I were talking about exactly this.
See, how much of the book do you dive into the monetizing of what you did? Because in the beginning, it was a bunch of guys who all just wanted to make music. And thank goodness that you did, because it put SA hip hop on the map.
Absolutely.
And then after a couple of years, it became, hey, now you're seeing the trickiness of the SA music industry and that it can get very messy. And then Gallo came through. It got,
And also, I think it's worth mentioning too that a lot of what was going on was very unique at the time, because
100%.
because the music business was in such flux. I mean, you came along at a point where there was still some of the big serious money making of the the past of the music industry, where it was this monster, this giant behemoth. These record companies were enormous and powerful, and they could control, they could make or break people. But it was changing already, because already the internet was starting to play its part. Already pirated music was a big story. Already the ability for anybody to make a name for themselves was starting to become possible, thanks to things like YouTube. So it was a really interesting time to be in music.
Yeah,
it was. What was really interesting was to see how even years after the music, you were able to take that and make it your own thing, where you own the platform and when you began to monetize. So how much of that do you go into in the book? Because that's the more interesting part for someone like me who just loves hip hop, but I've always been stuck at how do I turn this into like a passion that I can get paid for?
I think the book, basically, when I talk about energy and I talk about pivoting, it doesn't really focus, like there's a little space about the hip hop.
It's not a business book.
It's a spiritual.
There's a little part about the hip hop.
Okay.
Or my involvement in hip hop. The rest of it is about how everything. It's like hip hop literally was the dominant effect of how everything got impacted.
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
So it talks about like the consistent, the thought, the thinking process of the businesses that I took, the decisions I took, even with Slikour on Live, to a point of like, even now, I've literally launched like a creators platform, a creators fintech platform, right? A week ago, and I'm about to. I was thinking about it. I said, "Yo, you about to go to the streets again?" I'm about to go to the streets right now and I've got a target of how many people I want to use it, how I want to use it. I've gone to clients and I've said, this is what I'm about to do. The most important thing about everything is just always keep relationships, because you never know how far you're going to need to stretch the conversation, right? So I've launched this fintech platform. It's built. It's ready to go. I'm back speaking to young people about something else, about monetization. I'm talking about the opportunity of how they can literally have a world where they can actually grow their equity.
Let me ask you about that, because you said at the beginning with this book, it wasn't about it being successful or not successful. It wasn't about the metrics. It wasn't about like how many people read it or how many people bought it or anything else. But how do you know when a project that you're involved in is successful? Because you say relationships, all good and well. Like, you know, imagine you and Lebang and I have got a business going and we all enjoy being around each other and we're having a lot of fun. But the thing isn't making money.
Well, there are two things.
How do you know when to stop doing something because it isn't working anymore? And how do you know when something really is working?
I don't know how to stop, but I know how to pivot. I know how to get people. I know when people go, it's even with Squatter Camp. When we were recording Squatter Camp, we were recording it in tape. And I met up with Thabiso Kgati. I thought that, look, we had a home studio and people never had home studios.
Yeah.
That was already a big deal.
Yeah.
Now I'm like 13, 14, like got like a home studio situation. It's like late 90s. And I've got a tape where I've recorded in my house, my friends, and this is a big deal, right? I catch a taxi and I go to Norwood when Norwood was Norwood, and I play my demo for Thabiso Kgati, and he goes to me, it's got a hiss, it's got a hiss. You got to put your stuff on CD. I'm like, yo, do you even have a studio at your house?
It's not there,
like, you know, I've done so much work to get even catching the taxi to come to Norwood, you know. But then I went back, and in the way, well, thank God I sat in the taxi. I thought about it. I said, I'm gonna try and get a CD player.
Sure.
And I literally walked like a good 20 Ks like from that to go find a house with a CD-ROM. From I literally caught a taxi to Alberton, then not to Germiston, then I walked from Germiston to Alberton back and forth to basically like go
just
to
for a CD-ROM.
to go to someone with a hard drive to
no
go
such
to
thing as a free lunch.
to go to someone's house to literally like burn the first Squatter Camp CD, which will be the master that will multiply the current joint CD. So those things for me, it's not about me knowing when to stop. It's me knowing when to take an input. My gut, I'm part of the world. And my gut always tells me that, like when we started, I knew that, something's going to happen in the world of online. When I was rapping with Squatter Camp, it was in gut. Right now, I'm telling you that the future of transactions is consolidating lifestyle and experiences, because we are with the economy.
Okay, but how do you know when it's successful? Because that does matter. I don't believe you. I think you know what success is. You've had success, and you continue to have success. This fintech thing, for example, it's not just something to keep you busy. You want it to work. How do you know when it's working?
It's when it makes the impact that it needs to make to the people I'm building it for.
Yeah, but okay. Again, I hate to be
and there's
I hate to argue with you about this, but
no, go ahead.
The impact could be, it creates something for one person. Is that necessarily success? Is that enough for you? Because it wouldn't be enough for me. One person goes, "Oh, you've changed my life."
What if that's like the one person that's gonna unlock it?
So I don't think that way. I think when I think of my people, right? Mm-hmm. And I use the word my people, I don't even know who those people are, right? Yeah. So when I think in multiples. I think my industry, when I started Slick on Life, I thought, who's having sit-down conversations with artists 10 years ago in a radio world where you literally get if anything, if you get 30 minutes, it becomes 15 minutes because of the ads in between, know? Who's doing that, for the people that I feel I'm a part of? Those are my people. So I said, let me start a platform that does that. Did I know that it was going to grow wherever it was? I was more driven by the purpose, right? So as it grows, and when I know its success is, it's how people receive it, right? Okay. When I start off Slick on Life, I get resistance. yo, Slick Down, what is he doing? You coming here with mics? That's what they were saying, when everything that everybody's doing, what is he doing? Coming here with mics and a camera. Man, the OG done fell off, So that's the thing, right? I'm telling guys now that I'm launching a fintech platform. Guys are like, yo, what you doing? And I'm like, I know when like people like, firstly, I know that I'm doing the right thing when people don't know what the hell I'm doing.
Sure.
Right. And then I know that like literally like it's a success when I had people who come to me, forget the monetary side of things. I had people who come to me when comedians who came to me and said, yo, Slick, when you started that online stuff, I want to let you know, I was one of the guys that said that you done fell off and it's a sad story. But I just want to say I'm sorry. People have come to me. Now I've invested, I've spent my own money to invest in a fintech platform. Obviously now, it becomes like, here, I'm praying that I get my money back. I'm praying that I make money. I'm praying that I survive, right? Because it's a risk, right? It's a huge risk. I basically took profits that could have grown my business in something I really think that is going to be I really believe it's the next thing. When I go to people and I launch it, people are like, but we're already banking with this bank, with that bank, with it. And I go, I know you are, but here's the thing. Do you have a platform that is thinking of the creator, where the creator can create an event on the platform, sell a ticket, sell their merch, get a creator's loan also over time through a PO or whatever the case be, if they got a job that's paying in 30, 60, 90 days, send, like if you guys are doing an event, there's 20 people who are around and you need it, like.
And this is specialization, because so far, I mean, banks and most financial institutions they don't know how to help people in the creative pursuits.
Exactly.
No.
So what you're doing here is and there is room increasingly for more and more niche stuff, right?
Exactly.
So for musicians or events organizers
or SMEs who work with creative agencies, right?
Absolutely. They probably would rather do business with an institution that knows what their needs are, because you have to tailor all the banks are trying to tailor themselves into various places as well. You can't be everything to everybody. So better to have something new like your platform.
But then when I speak to my peers in the creative space, they're like, it feels good, man. It feels good. But we're not. But because
they don't believe in it.
They don't believe in it. But similar to how they never believed in Slip. But when I speak to banks are like, oh, wait, hold up. What you doing? And then I go, okay, so my creators don't think like financial institutions. They don't need to believe in it. If I can make a bank that literally never believed in a creative idea, but now I'm playing in their space, and they don't feel like you're trying to take, they're going,
but also, okay, do you come up against people who say, well, you are a musician and a creative person yourself, stay out of fintech, that's for the MBA students, because people like to.
I mean, people are people. People said that like you are rappers, you will never make it. It's quite though. People said that you are a rapper. Once you convince them that you can make a success of rap, people said you are a rapper, you'll never make it in the world of marketing. Leave it alone. You know what I mean? This is what even my book is about. It's the constant, but what's the voice in your head and how strong is that voice? And we all wake up with some type of strong conviction that individualizes us every morning. But when we literally get into the space of everyone, that literally becomes weaker and weaker, right?
Sure.
So how do you strengthen that individualism of who you are and because it's who you are, then what are you going to do about it? So for me, most of my day is like, so yeah, but what are you doing about it? So my whole day is like, are you okay?
I think a lot of people just get trapped in their own heads and they're so busy thinking about what they think and how they feel that they don't actually do anything.
Or what other people think and feel. I mean,
Even
Gareth,
worse.
what did people
Even
say
worse.
when you started Cliff Central? Same thing. They'll tell you to go fuck yourself, and here you are,
but
not fucking yourself.
But I hear Slikour saying, for example, that there are people who come up to him now, comedians, and they say, "Well, sorry, we were wrong.
Yeah,
you were right about this." Even if people did that for me now, and there are people who have, I don't care.
Mm.
I'm not interested in
Yeah.
their approval.
Yeah.
Mm,
If I'd cared about that in the beginning,
sure.
and it was like make or break for me, and really respected their opinions and all that kind of thing. And there were some people who I did, and unfortunately, most of them were believers. But I don't care now. Do you care about that stuff now?
Nah, you know where I'm at right now. I'm like, I don't even live on this earth, right? So,
Where are you?
you know.
Tell
He's
us. We'll come
operating
with
at a
you.
higher place.
I'm just here in the physical form, you know. I'm gonna just give people ideas from the physical in this physical world, and they're gonna go, I don't get it. But in the long run, they're gonna be like, they're gonna be living off, and they're gonna be dependent on that. And that's the same thing I could say with South African hip hop. They don't get it, but people are this an aspiration. They're living off that. This online stuff, when I started it like 10 years ago in 2013, and I was literally doing this content, going to these events. That's what, like, if you can't miss, there's nothing on Instagram. You'll slide, you'll see a couple of those things that I was doing 10 years ago, you know?
It's literally the blueprint now.
Yeah.
So I've made peace that, you know, and you have to, it's not even like it's growing and literally looking at things in context. You're not of this earth. You only contribute to this earth. You know, I used to always say this when I was in the industry. I used to go, I don't need the industry needs me. You know, it wasn't like an arrogant statement, but here I am, and it's bigger than the industry now. The earth needs me, you know, it needs me until it doesn't need me. And I just got to give. So that's the most important thing. I just got to give until the earth doesn't need me anymore. Because what am I? Because this is the human in me goes, you just done been a fintech. You're not got to go to events. You got to go see. You got to go sell. You got to go do this. Damn, man, I thought that you finished. But the earth goes, no.
But do you feel that pressure? I mean, like when Helen said to you, you've got to write this book because we need to document some of the story, and we don't want people to forget what you've done and where you've been and who you are. I mean, I don't think people will forget, because the people who know you are going to recognize you for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
That's going to happen. But do you feel pressure to stay relevant and all of that stuff?
I don't even think I'm relevant, to be quite frank.
I was actually going to say,
Yeah.
like, without being politically incorrect, I don't think like Slikkour's like the most talked about guy, but the stuff that he's doing in the back, that's the most important stuff, because there's people on the ground that are being moved by that. The kids who still have the energy to go be there, wow. They're not doing it out of themselves. They're doing it because Slikour did the blueprint. And that's like, I think from where I'm sitting, that's the evolution of what he's about.
Yeah, no, I don't think, you know, I had to stop thinking about being relevant like 13 years ago. And I had to literally like live my life. Like I had to make my mind start thinking like, what is it like to be a person who's not revered, who doesn't have merit, but just wants to do what they love. And I literally had to live my life around the context of just doing that.
A lot of people who don't know what it's like to be Slikour are thinking that that's what motivates you, and it doesn't. I mean, like I've known you long enough, and you've known me too, that I don't care about being relevant.
I don't.
If someone says to me, we haven't seen you in television and radio for years.
And then
I'm like, well, then you're looking in the wrong places anyway.
Yeah.
Because nobody cares about TV and radio anymore.
Yeah.
So if you're looking there, then that's a you thing. It's got nothing to do with me. I don't feel less relevant because of that.
And you know,
is that the same for you?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's like, I'm going to use this once again. When Helen comes to me and says this, there's two things, right? I wake up with this conviction. But you know, when you're sitting around a table and there's a buffet waiting for you across, I don't know, I've seen it in movies. It ain't happened in my life where you got a whole table like there, you know. But like, this is how your day is. If you have the conviction of who you want to do, those thoughts, life already has people ready to serve you in what you need to do, or rather, literally, tighten or validate or reaffirm the things that you need to do. So when I talk about someone like Helen, who's respected in her own right, she's actually very important in the journalism industry, right? If she literally goes, I will give you those 3 hours every week and I will commit. Whatever's moving her to do that when she is her own person is literally big. right? When I sit and I go, I'm going to work on this idea, have this idea, and I show the bank, and the bank goes, huh, yo, it's an idea. So I think that the world already is ready to serve what I need. I need to worry about that moment in that time and in that space. I can't worry about what I was 10 years ago or when I was on stage, because when I was there, I had to worry about that moment in that time and in that space, and I lived it, and I'm grateful for it. But now I
When last
can't.
did you get in a taxi? I mean, you were talking about the taxi situation just now. I mean, this is a fun thing.
It's
for
probably
everybody
been a
to do.
minute.
It's been a while, right? I mean, it's been a long time since you were in a taxi.
I'm always in an Uber.
Ah, bruh.
That doesn't count. That
Not a
doesn't count.
cab.
But my life is so simple though, you know. I mean, my life is so simple. It doesn't. I wouldn't. I don't think I'd be in a taxi because
There's no judgment attached. I just want to know when. When last were you in the taxi?
When he was 13, going to Norwood and then going to Albertson and Germiston.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
No. I've been in a taxi. I think I've been in a taxi within the past 12 months because I probably own a taxi. So
Ooh, okay.
Probably.
Okay, flex.
Probably or definitely, because if you're a taxi owner, we've got to end this interview.
Yeah, right now.
No, I definitely do own a taxi.
Okay.
Taxi.
Shout out to
you know.
multiple stream of income
You know.
though. Like
That's
that's the vibe.
Yeah,
That's
no,
good business.
it's yeah, but like, you know, I mean, look, I just as a side note, I roll in an Uber. Right now, the only reason I'm using a car, I've literally rented a random Suzuki because I need to find a school for my child, and I just want to finish that without me going back and forth in an Uber. But like, you know, my life is, I just want to do what I love, you know. I don't, and I hate like being, let me be 100 with you.
I'm not asking you to justify it. You don't have to explain to us whether you use a taxi or not.
I listen. All I'm just saying, I just want to.
I'm not going to accuse you of leaving the hood behind and going
No,
suburbia.
Gareth, it's okay. I feel
Gareth,
like once you get out the hood, get
Gareth,
out. Stay out. It's fine.
Look, the only way you can learn to grow is and be in touch is still understanding what's happening in the hood. And I think, I mean, I was just in my hood just 2 months. I just bought the kids from my hood kits, I think for basketball, I think 34 kids. And you know, for me, it's always going to be a case of, I don't care what's said. In my head, I know that for where I'm from, to be able to go to that same hood that called me Slikour to get those kids kits, I'm like, you know, and the kids, they literally put my logo there and the kids, you know, I said, I know I'm a success, right? I know, and there's no German car, nothing that in the world anybody can tell me, because I'm from Leondale, Katlehong, and I did what I did, and I'm still doing what I'm doing, and I'll be in a Zoom call with guys.
Do you get people who come up to you in Katlehong and say to you, I just want to be like this, and they expect you to give them some secret, like you've discovered some universal secret that if you could just share it with them, then they can have that too. Puts pressure on you, right? Because there isn't a secret.
There is no secret. I mean, I'm hardcore, you know, because I wasn't given anything. I always tell guys that everything I have is because of the nose. So you're asking me, because you're asking me something, I'm gonna tell you no. It doesn't work like that. You think that is gonna no, and you know the difference with me is that I'm not scared of being like an adult and an OG. I don't need you to like me. I'm gonna tell you the truth, right? I'm gonna tell you I'm like Randall, you know, an idol.
No, he
is
in
life.
You know what I mean? Brutal, guys.
Like I'm like Randall in life. Not in honorary. I'm like Randall in real life. I tell guys that, oh, you know, you're gonna hit a wall, you know, and then I don't speak with some guys because I know that they're gonna literally they won't be able to receive this, you know, the way they need to receive it, because let them go have fun. Let the world hit them and let them be ready to get the lessons, because I'll still be ready to hug them and love them and give them, because we do this out of love. You know what I mean? If we cannot give it back, if we cannot teach it, if we literally going to be apologetic.
Are there people in your life that you do not get along with at all, that you don't want to have anything to do with? Because I honestly don't have. There's no one that I can think of that I hate.
Nah, I don't hate anyone, but I know there are people who are not comfortable around me
No,
because of
Sia's
just who I
brutal.
am.
Gareth, Sia is so brutal. I remember when I left YFM, I sent him an email. I'm like, "Hi, Sia. My name is Lebang. This is what I do. I've been watching your career. Please give me a job. I'll do this. I'll do this. I'll clean the floors. I'll take some tissue and wipe some asses." I was like, "Bro, I'm willing to learn anything." And you know what the response to that email was? "Hi, Lebang. I think at this time we're not really taking on any new talent, but I think you've got it going on. You'll be fine." I was so upset. I was like, "Wow, all I know is hip hop. This is all I'm good at. Why would Sia say no to me?" And thank God he did. Thank God he did. Because after that, I just turned into like this crazy hustler. I started doing things that I never even thought I could do because he said no. If he said yes, I mean,
A lot of
Lord
people,
knows.
a lot of people thank me later. To be
Yeah.
quite frank, I
I know.
I'm like that Drake album.
He
Thank
is.
me later. But like the truth of the matter is that like I you know, even in my book you see they stories of guys who were always here, and I said, "You're so great. Just go. Leave me alone. Stop thinking that you need to be under me.
Sure.
You could be bigger than me." And I told guys who literally felt that I need to be, and then they did. They became bigger than me in different aspects of their careers. And in fact, they did what they love, right? So for me, it's almost like we got to release people and you got to see their greatness, right? So I don't have any and you know, another reason why people are not comfortable with me is because I'm honest. You know, when you come, this industry is full of BS and lies, right? So I'm the guy who's gonna be like, you know, that's not real.
Yeah.
You know what you just said right now. You know that I know that they people who won't believe that. So I'm always like, yo, let's come back to the truth. But the industry is not built on truth.
Yeah.
The industry is built on false hope.
On cap.
The industry is built on like the idea that like
build hype and bullshit.
the industry is built on hype. The industry is built on hype, this success, this perception. And I'm always like, yo, bro, let me tell you, I'm driving Suzuki now, but this is my but on top of that, you know, but I can but you know, I can't tell you the rest of my life. This is where I'm at, right?
Yeah.
But you're gonna go, yo, but my kids are hype, you know, my family is hype. In fact, you know what? The only thing that's a risk in my life is like my businesses, but like my business is my heart, is stuff that I believe in. But business is business. You know, we could go up, we could go down, but you know what it is? This human being, though, this human being is going to find a way, because my whole life has been about that.
Do you think that a lot of people don't succeed? And success is a very difficult term to kind of define because it's different for everybody. But a lot of people don't succeed because they're so terrified of losing everything, of going back, especially if they've struggled hard to get where they are now. And they're so terrified of losing just the comforts of like having the house they've got, the friends they've got, the life they've got, being able to spend money or doing whatever it is they do. They're so afraid of losing that they don't risk enough to succeed.
Yeah. And I think the idea of having everything sometimes is what people have, they don't really have, you know. Half of the things they have, they have to be in if your company got you there, you know, you'll never be there without your company. If your credit score got you there, you'll never be there without the bank's money, you know. If so everything that they have, they don't really have. So the only thing they have is the academia most times to get themselves there, or they got the charisma to get themselves those things. So when they look at what they really have, it's stuff that if that company shut down tomorrow, you go back to where you were. If that bank closes, you go back to where you were. So half of the things that we have are the idea of having things. You know, it's like the idea of being around like people like Gareth, who I'm using as an example, who do these things, who travel to these places. But most times you don't have anything really. So once those things stop, that's why when I said 13 years ago, I had to think of my life like, so you cannot call Gareth because you like everyone else that doesn't know Gareth. You cannot call that guy from the brand because you know. So what does that life look like?
Sure.
That life is a life of nothingness. So how do you build your life from the premise of nothingness? So the premise of nothingness means that like you're gonna go work hard and build the presentations. You're gonna go sell yourself. You know what I mean? So
And isn't it amazing? Like a lot of people think that the people they aspire to be are happy and contented and balanced and everything's fine.
It still struggles.
So many of us, I've often been genuinely surprised to hear from somebody who I look up to, who wants to go for coffee with me. And I go, what the hell would that person who's such a stellar, unbelievable breakout success, why would that person want to spend 15 minutes talking to me?
You forget that we're all human, Gareth. We're all literally human.
I love,
still.
that's why I love your story about how you got hold of Slikour and you were like, please, I want to work with you. I want to do anything. And he said no.
He told me where to fuck off.
It wasn't like that.
No, you didn't say
I was polite.
No, you were polite. You were polite.
I didn't even know about this.
It's how you received it.
It was me receiving it in the wrong way back then. But again, thank you.
You know what? I'm always the reason why I say I'm always hard is because I'm polite though. I do it with respect. I don't do it like
he's not gonna say fuck off.
I do it because I do want you to be better.
Sure.
You know, I do it because I want you to understand that I'm also in a struggle to actually make myself something too.
Yeah.
You know, but maybe my struggle is on another level and your struggle is on another level, but I'm also in a struggle to make myself something too.
Yeah.
Right. So I cannot mislead you and make you feel like,
listen, I hate to spoil this party, but it's 8 o'clock. I don't know where the time is gone. Doesn't it feel like we just started the show
really
5
does.
seconds ago?
It really does.
Dude, it's so good to actually spend time talking to you. We didn't even get to like family.
The new Squatter album.
They're all good though.
Yeah, everybody's good. Everybody's good. Yeah.
This album.
Yeah, the new Squatter album.
It's out in the streets. You know.
Amazing.
That's so exciting. That for me is like exciting.
So the book, because I mean, one of the reasons to get you in here was the book. It's called Slikour: The Life Story of a Hip Hop Pioneer, and you can read all about it. What can I say? You've told us enough to make us thirsty for more. So we've got to go and check this out. Sia Slikour Matani, it's great to see you, my friend, and I hope we will see you again soon. Keep making new things happen. Keep making powerful things happen.
Keep inspiring the kids, bro.
And that's a thing you definitely do in bucket loads. So keep doing it.
Well, shout out to you for going on with cliffcentral.com. Listen.
Sometimes I wonder.
Well, you know what? That is for me is the boldness. At the peak mainstream radio, you literally, I always remember that like, you know, even when I was coming here, you're an example of a person who at their peak, literally, you could have just stayed comfortable, you know, and carried on. You would still be on mainstream radio, you know.
Wow.
So you also like one hell of an inspiration and a reminder that like, you know what, if you want to do what you want to do, just do it, bruh.
Do you?
It is what it is, you know. So shout out.
Don't be afraid.
Shout out.
Don't be afraid. All right. Thank you. Slikour, what a pleasure. Lebang, we will see you next Tuesday.
I'll see you next Tuesday.
Marvelous. Very, very good. Have a happy